Police say the driver of a truck that hit a 3-year-old in a Fairdale apartment complex has now turned himself in. Thanks for joining us here on the Night Team. I'm Alex Dieterer. Paul Taub has been charged with tampering with physical evidence and leaving the scene of an accident. According to court documents, Taub was driving his truck in the Regency Park apartments when he hit the 3-year-old girl. Taub said he was unaware he hit anyone and assumed it was a speed bump. He allegedly fled the scene when people began to scream and hit his truck. Taub claims he found out about the incident later through word of mouth and social media. Police say when Taub was found out, he panicked and hid his truck behind his garage. Taub also threw away his license plate and removed the window decal that could easily identify his truck. Taub then turned himself into police last night. Police say the 3-year-old girl suffered an injury to her arm that required surgery, but she is expected to survive. Taub appeared in court this morning and is now out on bond. New tonight, a Jeffersonville high school senior is in the ICU after a crash involving a car. That's according to the school's volleyball team. In a post to social media, Jeffersonville Volleyball says Alex Avila was involved in an accident last night. They say details about the crash are unclear, but the senior was taken to U of L Hospital, where he currently has a brain bleed. A GoFundMe to help his family pay for the costs has been set up, and we have a link to donate on our website, WHAS11.com. New tonight, a Jackson County, Indiana man is in custody for the murder of his father that happened at the beginning of the year. Jackson County Sheriff's Office says on January 30th, they began investigating the murder of 76-year-old Larry Fox. His 28-year-old son, Robert Fox, was taken into custody today and charged with murder. Tonight, as the Florida State University community recovers following the mass shooting on campus, questions remain about the motive of the suspected shooter and his past. The suspect is awaiting charges, as court records from 2015 reveal he had been on medication for several health and mental issues. The details laid out in a years-long custody battle between his biological parents. The affidavit alleges his mother took him out of school to Norway for over 3 months.
I was his teacher the year he got abducted. When he came back to my classroom. I look back and think, well, what more could I have done? You know, I mean, I'm sure everybody who's been associated in his life thinks the same thing.
The surviving victims are now making strides in their recovery. Madison Askins, who just yesterday couldn't walk without getting sick, made a lap around the ICU today with the bullet still lodged in her vertebrae. She says she's determined to show up for an internship she's lined up for this summer. University officials announced that classes will resume on Monday. A Brooklyn couple is left with about 5 suitcases to their name after a trip to Louisville. WHAS 11 Night Team's Clarice Shaley and photojournalist Aspen Hester heard how they lost almost everything when their U-Haul was stolen outside of the Galt House.
I have 1 box left of my life.
Alex Lowry and Nicole Marie Pollock were just passing through Louisville.
Leaving NYC after 20 years.
Packed with all of their belongings in a U-Haul truck, the couple made the drive from the East Coast to open an inn at the Outer Banks.
It was a full move.
It was a full move. We've been talking about this for a while, and we saw this opportunity and took it.
The couple parked the truck outside the downtown Louisville hotel, the Galt House.
In our mind, we're looking around, it's like it's so beautiful downtown. There's so much foot traffic. There's so amazing stuff going on here. We're like, this is great. This is perfect. Everybody can see it. Nobody's going to mess with it.
Alex and Nicole say they had a clear view from their hotel room down to the metered spot where their truck was parked. And it was like they looked outside and it was gone.
When I walked up to the metered spot, there was just glass in the gutter. And then the sinking feeling hits.
The U-Haul was gone, reported stolen to LMPD, eventually found by officers a couple weeks later.
There's really nothing in it. The truck was just ransacked.
The couple is now left to salvage through what's left of their personal items.
Vintage film cameras and
studio gear. I had
trunks that came over from Poland with my family in like the 1800s, and they immigrated here.
Filled with music and studio equipment, furniture. In total, about $500,000 worth of belongings were in the U-Haul.
What are they going to do with my great uncle's Purple Heart that he got for D-Day? Like, I don't understand.
Years of their lives, their work, their livelihoods. Gone.
I hope they wake up and, you know, I hope this changes them and makes them not a thief. I hope whoever has all of my art supplies, you know, starts painting. And
now left to rebuild with what they can. In Louisville, Clarice Shaley, WHAS 11 Night Team, on your side.
LMPD is actively investigating this case. The couple is fundraising to rebuild and still plans to move to the Outer Banks. We have a link to their GoFundMe on our website, WHAS11.com. Well, there was a chance for some potentially strong storms to move through Kentuckiana today. However, those fizzled out and all that was left was the heat. Chief Meteorologist Mallory Schnell joins us from the Weather Center with the details.
Easter Sunday, not looking too bad tomorrow with mostly dry conditions and warm temperatures. And today was a warm Saturday across Kentuckiana. We started off in the lower 70s this morning, so we had a very high jumping off point. We topped out in the lower 80s this afternoon, running 11 degrees above normal and just a couple of degrees shy of that record high of 86. Now, if we do take a look back at April so far, it's kind of been a 50-50 sort of month in terms of below normal high temperatures and above normal high temperatures. That's what you're seeing in the blues and reds here on the calendar. The coldest high we've had, 49 degrees on the 8th of the month, and the warmest 84 on the 2nd, and also this past Friday. Of course, we picked up a lot of rainfall, almost 8 inches so far this month, and thankfully, as I mentioned, we are trending mostly dry heading throughout the rest of this evening and tonight. Partly to mostly cloudy skies on tap. We'll start off on a mild note Easter Sunday. Could see a couple of showers, but all in all, we're trending dry and warm. And we'll take a full look at that Easter Sunday forecast coming up in just a bit.
Thank you, Mallory. And new tonight, Kentuckians impacted by February's deadly flooding will have 30 more days to apply for federal assistance. The governor announced the extension today, thanking President Donald Trump and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem for the support. 15 people died in Kentucky during the storms back in February, and over 1,000 people needed to be rescued. And now it's been over a week since the Ohio River receded from this month's flooding. Mayor Craig Greenberg said roads and highway interchanges by the Ohio River are now all open.
We've got a little bit of street sweeping and cleaning left to do, but again, all of the roads are back open and we are cleaning up in record time. Have a great weekend.
Mayor Craig Greenberg also confirmed the parks in the southwestern portion of the city are all cleaned up and the parks along the river are in its finishing touches. After 40 years of business, the Stephen Foster restaurant in Bardstown is closing. The buffet-style restaurant posted on their Facebook saying, quote, due to unforeseen circumstances, Stephen Foster restaurant will be closing its doors permanently. We're grateful to have crossed paths with you and hope to see you around. Have a blessed day, end quote. The restaurant also mentioned that people with gift cards can be refunded after sharing their name, return address, and phone number. They say to mail them to their restaurant location. The Kentucky Supreme Court is currently debating whether cities can ban no-knock warrants without the input from local police. Arguments over Lexington, Kentucky's 2021 ban were heard Thursday. The city banned the practice a year after Breonna Taylor was killed when LMPD raided her apartment using a no-knock warrant. The local police union has been challenging the ordinance ever since, calling it unlawful and running afoul of the union's collective bargaining agreement. The union argues that Lexington must hear officers' concerns about how banning no-knock warrants would harm them. The city argued they are not required to consult the union on policy issues that are a matter of public interest and safety. The Supreme Court is expected to make a decision later this year. And new tonight, we're learning New Albany City Council has extended the moratorium for new apartments for another year. The council voted 6-2 on the third and final reading to continue the moratorium on new apartment developments and the issuance of short-term rental permits. New Albany City Councilman Greg Phipps said the extension will allow the city to update the comprehensive plan and complete the new zoning code. However, some residents voiced concerns about extending the moratorium, saying there needs to be an opportunity for growth to bring affordable housing.
But I can tell you from my experience that we need less barriers to bring prices down. You can see this in Austin, Texas, and San Antonio, where they have proven that an increase in apartment construction has brought their prices down in opposition to where the current trend is nationwide.
The city is now in the process of reviewing and potentially revising its zoning laws. A study by the University of Louisville's Urban Studies Institute revealed that New Albany has plenty of high-end apartments and more expensive homes, but lacks affordable housing options. The U.S. Supreme Court has temporarily blocked Trump deportations of Venezuelan migrants under a centuries-old wartime law. This comes amid the legal battle over Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a migrant mistakenly deported to a prison in El Salvador. The Trump administration insists Abrego Garcia is a violent gang member. He has no criminal convictions, and they've provided no evidence. Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen got the chance to meet with Abrego Garcia this week.
This case is not just about one man. It's about protecting the constitutional rights of everybody who resides in the United States of America.
No, look, he's a fake. I know him. I know them all. They're all fake. And they have no interest in that prisoner. That prisoner's record is unbelievably bad.
Van Hollen says the administration is blatantly defying the Supreme Court, which has ordered them to facilitate Abrego Garcia's return to the United States. Trump and his administration insist he will never return.